So when it comes to rewriting, because that's the stage we're at the moment.
Okay.
We just finished our first draft, basically.
Congratulations, guys.
Yeah, thanks. How do you go about it? I mean, how many before you send it to like script and so on, like Francis? How many rewrites do you generally do yourself before you give anyone a look at it? Do you finish it and then send it off, or do you yourself with it?
Okay, that's a great question. What was your name?
Matt.
Matt. Nice to meet you, Matt. Or nice to hear you. Let's see. My process is after I have the first draft. My editor is my wife. She's she's an incredible support system. As you can see, I've mentioned her many times already, and we've only been talking for about 8 minutes now. So you can see my partner has been very supportive with my dreams, and so she reads my first draft and takes it in, and then she'll give me feedback, and then I'll make a few more drafts. With Wishland, I cranked out 3 drafts, and then I felt it was stronger. It wasn't finished by any means, and I knew that, but I felt it was ready to share. So I think it's important to really be honest with your work and realize the first draft. Unless you're Paul Haggis, you don't get a first winning script out of your first draft. It really takes many drafts. So I felt confident enough that the story was coherent and stronger than my first draft, that I could have a read-through. So I am involved with the acting community as well here in the Bay Area, so I have some acting friends. So I invited them over, and people that I trust, because it's delicate getting your words out there and your thoughts. So I urge you to pick people you really trust and feel safe with, and don't mind honest critique from these individuals that you invite to a reading. But the read-through was very important in my process, because I was able to let go of it as a writer and just sit back and just take it in with my ears and just listen to the rhythms of a scene and the emotional impact that things had as actors were reading, and actually getting teary-eyed with. So after the third draft, I had that read-through. After the read-through, I did at least 4 more drafts. And then Francis was kind enough to say, hey, I'll give it a read. And at that point, I gave him the 8th draft to read. And after that, I tell you, his notes were so specific and clear. And it just really pushed me to think about the story in a different way. And now I have 17 drafts. I'm up to the 17th draft of Wishland. And I feel it's really strong. Of course, there's some things that I think I can finesse with dialogue and minor things, but I think overall it's a lot stronger than the 8th draft. But for me, I really believe that writing is rewriting.
Yeah.
And you discover the story, as you continue to build on it. And another thing that I keep hearing with professionals that are actually getting paid for it, and just being involved with the entertainment business at the capacity I have been for 20 years, is that it's a collaborative medium. And even though I can get it to the most polished draft, I know as a writer that even though when I sell it and let go of it, it's still going to be rewritten and developed even more so than what I do. And that's the beautiful thing, I think, about storytelling, is that a story really isn't never truly completed until the director gets his hands on it and directs it and edits it and puts it out into the theater.
Hi Kevin, it's Angus. Hi, thanks. Just wanted to ask you a question. What length of time, how long did you take to first get your first draft on page, and then get to the 8th draft, and then the 8th draft to the 17th?
Okay, good. That's a good question. What's your name?
My name's Angus.
Angus, nice to meet you. Let's see here. It's a little different for every project. That's what I find so exciting about writing. Because when you're young, you know, in high school or, you know, when you're a young man, you hear, hey, I'm going to be a writer. And you have these illusions of what, or delusions of what a writer is. And you never know until you actually get down there and do the work. But one of the things that I find so intriguing and so fascinating about the process is that every project is a little bit different. And with Wishland, it's taken a total of about 8 years for me to write this particular story. Now, not all my stories I've babied this long. This is the longest puppy that I've had. Another screenplay that I wrote called Boys Day Out, I wrote that in a matter of 3 months. And then I did rewrites for that in a span of another 3 months. So I guess the answer to that question would be every project's a little different, and I guess it depends on what the project means to you and how much you have invested emotionally into the story and how much you want to say to the world with that story. With Boys Day Out, it's a sci-fi action-adventure, kind of a tongue-in-cheek adventure movie, and so I felt pretty content with it. That one's at 5 drafts, or no, I think it's 6 drafts that it's at, and it could probably stand a few more drafts as well. But right now I'm pretty content with where that story is. With Wishland, I'm really trying to make a big statement about how important our time is here on the planet while we're here, and to make the most of that time. So, you know, I've matured and I've grown a lot in 8 years just being a father and a husband. So, of course, the things I want to say are going to change within those 8 years. So I think that's why Wishland has taken a total of 8 years to get where it's at right now. 8 years, a total of 17 drafts. Now, I wasn't writing consistently through those 8 years. I wrote 5 drafts of Wishland within 1 year, and then I put it away because I was just too frustrated with the story. I couldn't find it. I just had this great concept, but there was no story. And it took me a while to understand that a concept is so not a story. You know, you need a strong story to carry you through a whole movie. So it took me a few more years to find that story within Wishland and to go through life. So I guess the answer would be every project's different, and I guess just listen to your heart, you know. Sometimes distance from it, after you get the first draft, distance for a week or two, it's important. And with other projects, you might be so passionate that you might just want to jump back in there right away after a week. I think Francis would agree too. Some distance after the first draft is important.
Yeah, it's good to step away from it and leave it for a week, 2 weeks if you can.
Yeah.
Though it's sometimes tempting to go back and start peeling it apart and tweaking things. But it's good to take a step away and leave it for a bit and then go back.
I just wanted Kevin Sanders again. I wanted to know, it's all kind of like you said, it's different projects for different people. You know how much your heart is involved in it and what have you. But listening to what you're sort of saying, I mean, it's a big project and it means, well, it obviously means a lot to you. So do you think you are at an end in terms of having done your 17th draft now, ready to let go?